Now you have,
It's about bureaucracy. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if it's like ever like implemented, but I don't know if it was like a meme or it was a real thing, but people try to like people asking Zoom to have this grid that has the size of the image based on the hierarchy. So the president has a bigger image, and like this, like I know it's like hilarious, but some people are like seriously asking for this feature in Zoom. Um,
So that you don't forget.
I don't
It's
know,
harsh,
like
like,
I don't know. I'm not important, so I just have like 1 pixel in this. And you're important, so you should have take like half of the space.
or maybe also, I wanted to say to change the volume, right? Depending on the hierarchy. But then I guess the person
Oh,
that's most important should be the lowest volume. So you really have to listen.
oh, I see. Pay attention.
I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know.
Or like,
So
if the important person starts talking, like you see like background noise, people talking or like a traffic or something.
so weird. Wow. No, I didn't know about that. No.
Yeah, I still don't know if it was like a real thing or just like a meme. But I can imagine people in Japan would ask for it.
Yeah. Oh,
Like
yeah?
like it's if it's like a company, but then like if you have like 50 people in the meeting, like what is it? Maybe that's the thing, like they want to have like a regular meeting where the president of the company just talk to the people, so they have to have bigger image, and the like whoever random person employed in the company, they don't need the space in the grid. Maybe that's why they're saying.
Yeah, but you can also collapse the grid and you can only see the speaker. So it's really like,
Exactly. Yeah,
uh,
just to show the power.
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
important.
I'm all over your screen.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, sorry, like we have limited time. I'm just saying random things.
We have limited time this time, so
Yeah, yeah. We could just upload like random chat, like what I do with Jorge. That's
Yeah, like,
also
hey, this
nice.
is gonna be my next nail color. No,
Oh, wow. It's like a neon yellow or what?
yeah, yeah, I found it recently and I was like,
Nice.
but it's not, it's working well only when you do like 3 layers at least,
Yeah.
like waiting and again and waiting and again. And I usually don't have the patience, but when I really do, I need to really reserve time when I do this. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Like the name of this color is called one coat black. So you just need one coat to make it black.
One coat black. Okay,
Yeah.
wow. I guess it's working.
Yeah. It's just
Sorry,
one coat.
I will stop confusing and doing other things.
It's so funny. Yeah, so maybe like, talk about something serious. I just opened the browser and it actually like I was looking at the Take More Care page, that
Hmm.
I mean the cargo site you have.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking like, what if I make like alternate web page, like if for example, if we decide to do something together, maybe like I could like like jump into the to like not change the website, but like not hijack. I still like I keep saying this like hijacking, but not to hijack, but like
Yeah.
if so far like the website I'm making is like just like a standalone thing, right? And now it has like a lot of questions, but and now I'm trying to make it more like Twitter, because like for me social media is like Twitter, and I think that's like it makes me like feel old. Um,
You mean the
but
desirable Twitter?
design or like the idea. I mean,
Yeah.
I actually like, I've been spending a lot of time on iDocDE,
Mhm.
and I don't know if do you have account on iDocDE? You
Um,
have to make account, right? To
I think
like,
I do have it, but I haven't like accessed it in a while. But
yeah.
a few years ago, right before Corona, I think I was applying for a meeting or getting in touch. Oh no, I was joining actually during Corona their meetings online. Um,
Oh,
we had few meetings online, but then they kind of gave up. We met maybe like 3-4 times, and that was it.
Yeah, I
Nothing happened.
see. Were you based in Düsseldorf?
I was based in Düsseldorf many years ago, like
Okay,
2015, many years ago, yeah.
because
But then during Corona, I was in Brussels. I was between Brussels and was
oh,
starting
okay,
Cologne, yeah, because I
I
already knew
see.
I was going to Cologne, so I was between the two cities, yeah. But I
I'm just
spent for,
asking
tell me.
because when I search with Lili on the the users, I don't see you, but there's one person who's inactive, and it says based in Düsseldorf, but
Uh,
it
could
might
be,
be.
because probably that's where I've created it.
Mm, and
Yeah.
you're banned or
No, I think it's inactive in the sense I haven't, after these meetings, I didn't use it anymore, so I didn't get back in. I'm pretty sure in my old email account, I could still find details to get in. So,
but it's weird, like why they make it inactive. Anyways,
yeah.
but it's so like this website is like it's so kind of bureaucratic. It almost feels like, like where you um how to say, like it's very office kind of, or like more like a for something for a lawyer or like accountant or something, I feel.
Yeah, it's more, I think it's more like, the desire to be more institutional.
Yeah,
Mm.
I'm
And
trying to figure out who developed it, because I know there are people who's behind, not behind, but like organization of this, coming from dance, but actually like who developed it, who designed it, that's not really written anywhere. I'm really curious to know like how this happened, because it seems like a custom website, and that's a lot of investment
mm.
to make it for this specific purpose.
Well, but this investment, as you can see, it says down there, this project has been funded with support from the European Commission.
Right,
So, probably doing a website was part of where the money went. Um,
right.
if you're talking really about the website.
Yeah, but also like, I mean, so it's clear that they got the funding, probably the people who was organizing this, like coming from dance, and then they hired someone to, or company to build this website, I guess. But this process is like not documented anywhere, which I feel is like relevant to like what I'm doing,
Yeah.
like where is this coming from, like as also from the technical background. I'm really curious. I wrote to the
But it
one
says
of the
here,
organizers.
I mean, it only says here, general information, operator of the website, media owner and publisher.
Where
Uh,
is it?
it's under, where did I find it? I find it in general information. Um,
General information. Oh
you
yeah,
go,
general information in the bottom.
yeah, and that's where you also have, uh, yeah, I guess you write them to find out more. Gravity happens is, what is that? That seems
Old Feuilletons.
Yeah, so a place for dance, movement, and doing
Not
nothing.
to doing.
Yeah, not doing, yeah. Um, so yeah, I guess that's based in Vienna, and Gravity Happens, whoever runs this association then hired someone or is operator of the website, yeah.
Okay,
Mm.
interesting. But if I look for this gravity happens old for the way, whatever, it shows myoreflex therapy page. It's probably like a list of organizations who's doing the offering the myoreflex therapy. Um,
And I-
so
yeah, but I think it's mostly, if you look at the project head is Kerstin Kussmauer,
Kusmal, yeah,
and I guess that's her practice of a Meyer.
Probably I just use that nonprofit as a kind of umbrella for to
Yeah.
host this. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to like reach out to her and haven't been successful because I couldn't find email. But maybe I should write to this info at Gravity Happens
Uh, yeah.
if this is
You should write to all three, also the Zit-Konstant and Meyer-Reflex Ausbildung. Just use all of them to get there. But so she does not reply on the idoc.de.net? No.
I wrote to that account, whatever at idot.net, and she's not responding. I don't know if it's not, it's possible that she's not checking that email or she's just busy. I think both are possible.
Yeah. But you know what about the web page? I'm pretty sure because now I recognize the name here, and maybe you know that person as well. Martin Streit. Do you know Martin Streit from
No.
Frankfurt? Okay, Jorge might know Martin because Martin was part of Motion Bank. That's why
Okay.
that's where I met him, and he was a technical support for everything. So I'm pretty sure he's like, if it says, what does it say? What's the role? Technology coordinator. Could be that,
Okay.
yeah. So
Distanzplattform Rhein-Main, Frankfurt, Germany.
yeah, it's a question that he does not have his email there.
Okay. But
Um,
probably that's possible to find.
well, there's another technology coordinator that says Dilek Üstünalan, um, from Istanbul, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you really want to get, I would use all of these, like project head, ambassador, editor, technology coordinator, and someone will reply, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, I actually like okay. So when I wrote to wait, I always mix up his name. Pavle
Oh,
Heidler
yeah,
on this platform, they are like responsive. Like they wrote to
yeah,
me. Like
yeah.
but also like I know that they're a bit all over the place. So I was not sure like how I would ask. Like I thought like I should be clear with the question because I was like not no, I wanted to know who's behind this platform, who made it, but then like, do I need to talk to that person or not? So I
Well,
didn't really write to
yeah,
them,
it
but
depends what you need from them, but maybe the maker of the platform is not the person that conceptualized it, you know? Probably it was two people.
right. Yeah.
I would
I,
assume that there was someone who was like dealing with front back end of how to do it and someone that was telling what is needed,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm curious about their process of making this platform, like how this design decision was made. Probably there was not so much of like effort in the design of the platform because it's very messy. And I see that a lot of things were like added, like patched later. And
But you do have to give them a bit of like I mean, have to go easy on them. I think it's been
totally, yeah,
2012. So if you
yeah,
imagine
yeah,
how web pages looked in 2012, especially web pages to do with dance, I mean, that would
yeah.
be a whole nother PhD. Web pages in relation to dance artists. What used to be important, really? And sometimes you would hire someone and like, oh, what do I need? What needs to, yeah.
I
So
mean, I guess it's still the case. And that's
yeah,
what I mean, that's why I'm doing the PhD, I think.
yeah.
Um, but I think it's a good, yeah, I think it's a good case study. Um, yeah.
And one question, but that's maybe too off, so you don't have to answer it if it's just distracting you. Uh, why go for a web page?
Oh, actually, that's really important question because since we talked on Thursday, I was thinking about it because you mentioned that, like you pointed this idea of like I'm kind of emphasizing on the remix aspect. And I started to question like why is it? why did I define that as a kind of key concept of the mm, the PhD thesis? And I noticed that when I had the first like conversation with my supervisor, basically we needed to do something new, right? It's a research, so we have to, investigate something new that hasn't not been investigated or developed. So if we look at online resources, there are, like, for example, there's IDT that offers a place to do like knowledge transfer, let's say. And so if I say, I'm going to design a platform for knowledge transfer for dancers, then people would say that, that's already there. So why am I doing it again? And the path we took is to add something new, which is the remixing. So I was kind of convinced by this idea, but now I started to question, like, is that the right path or not? And coming back to your question, I think why I'm interested in online is, well, because I'm an online person. And but also I'm interested in dance. I started to notice that I actually like dance, which is kind of funny to say, but like not about like it's not about I like dancing, but I noticed that I actually like dance. Like it's not just about my focus of research, because you can do research of whatever you're not interested in, right? Um, but but actually, like I noticed that I really want to do something for dance, because there is like, so that's like online part that I always felt like, we could do it better. And that's coming more from like practitioner's side. Like I'm not I'm not a famous dancer, or not even a famous artist, but how to say, yeah, like I thought like that's something I could, tap in to like do something about it, because I have a bit of knowledge in dance, and I have a bit of knowledge in like internet, and I'm doing both. Like I think that's the important part, that I'm doing both of them. Like it just comes and goes, but so I thought, and that's not like kind of explored a lot, so I want to do something about it. And then this remixing idea came, as I just explained. But now that I think I should reframe it to more about like, just in general, of knowledge transfer on the internet, because it's not really like happening actively anyways. So why is that? I mean, if you include social media, maybe yes, but there is no like dance focused online forum or online platform where people exchange ideas. I mean, if that exists, then please let me know. But I don't think there is anything that's open to anyone and having like active exchange.
I wanted to say the following. First, I didn't doubt the online. It was just like, why web page? Not that it shouldn't be online, not at all. It was just like,
Mm,
it can be something else than a web page, right? I mean, okay, everything is a web page, but if you think that something is primarily on your mobile and works either as an app or like
right.
Instagram, right? In that sense. Um, then my second thing would be to say, you said we could do it better. It's like, who are you hoping for to gather around you? What kind of community, and
Mm,
would that be enough? Or what's the profile, or what kind of people, or what do they need to be interested in? Or is it someone that you don't belong to yet? Or are you also hoping to expand and find your tribe in that sense, right? I mean, that's more on the personal note. Then I wanted to say, it would be, maybe if you don't know it yet, it's not online, but it was an interesting idea proposed by Eleanor Bauer,
okay.
uh, dancer, choreographer, from the States, but I think she studied in part. So she was in Brussels for a while and then did a PhD in Stockholm. And she might still be there. I think she's done with a PhD, but she might still be there. And she did something called, I'm not sure if it's Nobody's Dance, but it had nobody in the name. And I joined a few sessions when they were happening in Brussels, which was people would just come for 2 hours, or it was even longer, and just share. Quite
Mm.
literally, it's like who wants to share, and people would raise their hands. What do you have? What do you have? They would kind of like, she was more of a moderator, and the point was to try out physically proposals that people either are working on, or they think it's a fun exercise, or it was whatever to try out in the space. So it was meant to be as a sort of a exchange. I'm not sure if that was specifically mentioned, but we did kind of try to insist on um, giving crediting properly. That you said, I don't know, I'm proposing this exercise, I've learned it, or I learned about it, blah, blah, there and there. This teacher was the first one to introduce it to me, but I know it comes from, or I have no clue where it comes from, whatever, or I made this up, right? So it was something like that. Then I don't know if that ever took an online version, but it was the point was also nobody as like it doesn't belong to anyone in particular, it's now ours, but also it was nomadic. She
I
would
see.
she would do this in different cities. um
Nobody's business. It's
Nobody's business. Yeah, yeah.
that's a good name.
Yeah. So she might be also very interesting contact to
Mm.
check and talk about. I bet she has a lot. She was also writing a lot and producing a lot of writing. I haven't like heard anything. I'm not like actively following all the dance scenes, but
Mm.
um yeah, I think since doing her PhD, maybe it's I hear less, but yeah, the things, the everybody's toolbox and things like that. I think several of her texts are also in there. And then I wanted to say, if you just as a exercise, if you thought or if you took a look maybe in how do other disciplines do that? Do they have a similar space? Um,
Mm.
like how is music tackling this, the exchange of knowledge?
Right.
Uh, how much of it is happening online? How much is that being done for, I don't know if it's really writers or, different visual artists, again, something different. Also, of course, it depends on the nature of what we consider what's the knowledge to be transmitted.
Mm.
Um, and then I also thought, yeah, there's, I think that a lot of exchange is happening on social media, because if I think of other disciplines, like you have a lot of reels people share, and they would play something and say, and this is the version I did, and you see it, it's also very obvious where they're coming from or what they did with whether it's a cover or whatever, or this explanatory videos of the makers, especially in tech, right? This is how I do it, and join my channel, and there I'll explain exactly how I do it. And then I don't know, they also get sponsored with, I'm using this thing, and like, then maybe you get some percentage of that. So there's a whole nother economy why it makes sense that they're doing that online. But yeah, with dance, I don't know. I think I know only few, not choreographers basically, but dancers. There's a lot more dancers doing that, where they're either explaining or showing how they're doing something that either looks awesome, or they've just learned, or it was a challenge to do, but now they can do it, or and it's in this half showing off, half this is my art, half a beautiful video, or documenting their practice. And I think these are meant for knowledge transmission. But of course, it's not as pronounced, but dancers will be following dancers, right? But then again, it's like also people who just like to look at beautiful bodies moving beautifully will also look at those videos. So I think
Right.
that's why I think a lot of it is happening on social media. Well, TikTok and Instagram, I guess. Maybe there's some value in there's a few articles written by people from sports university in Cologne on the topic of dance on TikTok.
Okay.
That's more in the direction of like, is this changing? What is it changing? You know, these basic things like, oh, since most of the dance is on TikTok and children learn dancing from TikTok, they're going to be dancing very 3D. They're not going to have a sense of depth because they forget their back and everything is done towards the camera and stuff like that. But because they're also very pedagogically oriented and really talk about what is then getting transferred there, there might be some interesting articles there written on that topic. And I will type in two names.
Okay.
One is Stephanie Hobart. I'm not sure if that is actually the name. I think it is.
Okay.
Wait, is it? No, it's not Hobart. Wait, actually, I'm following this person on Instagram. I'll let you know right away. I mean, only if this makes sense or if it kind of rings a bell and you're like, oh yeah, why not, right?
I mean, anyways, I'm curious.
No. So one name would be Claudia Steinbach. That's the head of the dance department in Sports University.
Okay.
It's like this.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's Tanzvermittlung, Postdigitalität, Bildungsforschung. So a lot of things that cross your research. And
I
now I'm
should
going
use that post-digital as my title as well.
post digitality, yeah. Ah, Oval. Wait, it was Stephanie Oval. And they're always also, I think, co-organizers of this conference that you said the other day that, oh, you're a bit too late, but maybe you can write them. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So as I said, I didn't really read. When I was looking for something that I was interested in, I saw a lot of them being in relation to pedagogy and social platforms and dance. Yeah. And I also have a feeling that there must be some kind of a study also done there, because there was one study with students of some German dance schools and Japanese dance schools, and trying to see the differences of what type of exercises, how they're accepted or not, but more in the light of what to then use or what could work digitally. And I think they have a whole project based on how to use digital tools in schools, or well, digital tools doesn't only mean online, but it could also mean online, right? So yeah. It's basically people you were probably in touch with in the choreographic coding lab.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just like a bit all over. But I want to like I'm
Yeah, you don't.
interested, like you said, about the other disciplines. I mean, and then this social media and yeah, I kind of have to like digest everything. But So yeah, I found it's really difficult anyways in like having like specific forum and like moderating it, and always, you know, like people ask questions and someone has to answer, and this kind of thing has to happen. And yeah, that's something like I found it's like difficult, like we said before, but someone has to kind of intervene and like moderate it, right? It can't just run as a platform. I think either that's something to have like a meetup like you're doing, or like, you know, just if it's like a forum, you know, someone like kind of jump in and moderate actively. Because I am in like a few online forums, and that's for like technical, like processing, for example. That's very like technical, but still it's not so active. And the problem is that there is not much like incentive for people to join and answer questions. You know, it's easy to ask questions because you have, you know, some problem. I mean, this is technical, so you come with like specific problem, and you're stuck, like, because you're stuck, so you come here and then you ask question. But you're not really like giving something, you're just like trying to take something from the community. And there are like only like, you know, 3 4 people who's like actively like answering all those questions in their free time. And this is also a problem with the open source, that, you know, they get really like burned out because of this like kind of like free labor. And then the social media part, that's actually like I'm really curious, like this TikTok thing, and like also like why like social media actually works. And these online forums are always like exhausting for some people. Um, it's probably very clear why it is, but it's worth researching. I mean, like again, like I started to feel like all these, like something that I felt trivial when I was starting the research is like worth, you know, investigating. Um, like how people are taking notes, like in the studio. That's like I felt it was really trivial, but it's actually not. And um, this is like something that yeah, I need to formulate the research questions, like what do I need to learn? Do I need to research? And what else? For example, like the target audience you said about, that's something, another thing that I really, I guess that's so like not so obvious. Like, who is this platform for? If I'm building a platform, like this is something I need to not just think about, but I actually need to do some kind of, yeah, research. Also, like again, um, that comes with this question of like what is like the content, type of content. I keep saying like it's like text based, and like why am I saying text based? And then that kind of like has to do with the target audience, right? So these 2 points that come together. And if I make, you know, like if it's text based, but if it's something like very dancey and they want to share videos kind of community, then it doesn't really go well. So there are like so many variables. Um, yeah, that's like the where like that's kind of the questions I'm thinking right now.
Yeah, I would just say I mean we meant I'm not expecting you to remember that, but the lecture performance we gave with Valerie, right? Um, like in the end, when we're simulating a talk between different speakers, and there's also Mackenzie work, and she has really she has really come to the point of like within few sentences of that. It's actually an interview with her done by maybe even an Estonian festival. So where she says, yeah, there's just now it's well-known term, context collapse in a way. Like, I don't know that, well, Facebook or similar platforms now, they do kind of allow you to do that context collapse with different circles of intimacy, like close friends and then and public and so on. But otherwise, you just share things with everyone, however close, or yeah, you're transparent basically to everyone, or the fact that you're just literally mixing contexts. But there was one better point that she made, which was, yeah, that with I think that was particularly true for Corona, but already before, according to whichever media theorists. I don't think McLuhan was already on to that, but maybe. But the fact, or maybe she was actually the first one to kind of bring that. Sorry, now I'll say it finally. That before we had separate, physically separated spaces for work and for entertainment. But now we use one screen for everything, for news, for work, for business. So that's in a way context collapse, that everything's there. And that became kind of the basic condition of use for something. You don't want to go somewhere extra and open that thing to have it available. That's why things are happening on social platforms, because it's a click away, quite literally. Or not even that, but the algorithm is already suggesting things that belong in there, right?
Yeah.
So what I wanted to also say is that I don't think, especially dancers are not that big of a group finally. If you, it's really like, who do you consider dancers? Which community? People who have been formally educated as dancers, or people who have taken workshops and they're also dancers, you know? I don't think it works if it's a clique. So where people feel that they can't self-initiate into the group. And therefore I could imagine, but that's not your priority, of course. I don't see, maybe it is so. I don't see your priority to be, this page really needs to then be used by these people and it needs to live in, I don't know, maybe also that objective changes. But if that was an objective, I could imagine it would be somewhere where you're literally collecting exercises of any kind of physical sort, so that people who train martial arts, people who want to have a better shoulder stability, people who dance, people do Pilates, and then they search and they're like, oh, everything that was put in under hashtag dance, I can find it, but it's like exercise exchange. Because I've heard so many times, at least people that I know teach dance go, oh, I wish there was a kind of an archive of dance exercises that I can teach, that I can propose, especially when it comes to improvisation, right? So I think that has more of a potential, because I'm thinking where you go extra on a platform, where you make this extra effort to go on a platform, is where you know that you won't be restricted in what you're looking for, but you can be if you want to. You can do very selective search, but everything will be available to you more or less. So you can decide how to navigate through that page, right? If there's nothing to navigate, because it's quite clear what you're getting, you have a feeling that you already know what's there. So you also don't kind of up. It's like, ah, yeah, nothing much is changing there anyway. So the fact that it's extremely dynamic, that there's a lot of like exchange, you want to be present. And I think that's the thing that keeps you on any channel, basically. If it's something that interests you, it's like, what's new? What's new? Otherwise, it's just always there. That's why I became an inactive member, you know? Yeah, but kind of.
No, like it's that's a good point, because what I found, I mean, it's like, I think there are two things. Like, one is that if there's like a lot of content that people are like feeding, and it actually, I think the problem with social media is that it always have to be new. Like, you won't get something, like you won't search for something old somehow. which is, I would say, it's a big problem. But I think what's the problem with iDocDE specifically is that it's just impossible to search, and
Mm.
it's just like the search function just doesn't work. And I don't know if that means that, we all have to use some kind of AI based recommendation whatever to kind of curate the content for each user. I mean, actually, this goes really well with what you said, right? So everything is there, and somehow it's curated for you with the AI, so that nobody has to like work on like actual curation, which is actually not true. Um, but that's another story. What the problem I see with iDocDe is that it's just like so hard for me to like, for example, if I want specific like inspiration or a specific, I don't know, like, well, if it's specific exercise, if it's like searchable name, like, I don't know, Alexander technique, then maybe it's easy to like search for it. But then if you're not sure about the term, or like, for example, like I want to know, like, I want to find like a list of like questions. That's actually like what I did search. But then if I just search for the term question, it can be any document that has the term question, like the word question in the description.
Mm.
So it might be related to, but again, question is a kind of generic term. So it might be just like, random document that has a lot of views. So it just like shows up at the top, but it's not like listing like questions. So that's something I found hard. And actually, there's another thing that I found I should consider is like, is it like, again, like who is it for? And is it for between dancers to share knowledge, or is it from dancers to someone else, or someone else to dancer, or like,
Mm.
I mean, it could be mutual. Because a friend of mine in Japan, he's like having like really like struggle with like communicating what they're doing to people from like coming from other discipline, because then they work together, and you know people don't have any idea of what contemporary dance is. And even if they come to see the rehearsals, they don't know what the dancers are actually doing. So that's like a really like specific problem he has with doing like creating with other people. And um, yeah, that's something I found. But that's more like what kind of content is it? If there's a video, is it helpful? But then again, he said like, if they invite people to rehearsals and still don't get it, then probably like just showing video is not enough. So, and I haven't like ruled out this idea of like knowledge transfer, including people from other discipline, and have some kind of
Mm.
discourse together.
Mm. Yeah, I wanted to also say just two things. One is you said nobody searches for anything old, well, unless you're doing research, which is funny. You're either looking for very old things or very recent ones, but then you have people who give you new content that start feeding it also very old things, because finally you can't produce so much new content. But I wanted to say, actually, it was a nice project that you may heard of, that Tanzhaus NRW did in Düsseldorf. But again, it wasn't online, but it was, in a way, it was knowledge transfer, but it was more to get a taste of what the choreographer is doing. So I don't know if you know of uh, physical introduction.
No.
So physical introduction was a format for audience that happened before the performance, and was for audience to get a sense of what they're going to watch. But instead of, I also did a few of those sessions together with a colleague, Anya Bomchek, and it was kind of a bodily flyer, I used to call it, jokingly, because it was, for instance, the work we did was talking to of course, first seeing the performance. So it went through us. We were the interpreters talking to the choreographer. asking how do you do this thing? How do you make this up? You know, or where do you start? Or also sometimes you see it and you know it. You have the ability to discern that. And then it was designing an exercise or something that the audience would get the sense of what will be happening on stage, that they either recognize or it's a skill that's necessary for the dancers that are doing it. Sometimes it includes similar movements, but the point is not so much to copy the movements, right? But to get either similar physical experience. Or even to say, and this is precisely the exercise that the choreographer is working on, right? And the whole point was exactly to get people to do it physically. It was, I also thought at some point that it's, you know, it's just like extending time for the spectator. You have to come before the show, you see the show, then you stay after the show. It's like you take 5 hours for one performance. So, but it was running for about 5 years.
Wow.
Uh, could still be running, but now it's only for things like flamenco and so on. The
Okay.
only interesting thing I thought I saw, which is not really supporting your thesis, but it's an interesting observation, is people came who didn't dare to come to a dance class because
Ah,
everyone. So it was like, oh, I can try it. There were a lot of men who came and they really enjoyed moving and they kept coming back. And then finally it was like, oh, what kind of classes do you have here? You know, it was the first type of getting in touch with movement, for instance.
interesting.
Um, or that it wasn't too formalized, or that you're allowed to be the way you are in your body. So that's kind of talking against the online exchange. But it only came to my mind because you said, yeah, who is this? Where is this exchange happening between who?
Mm,
This was really particular between audience and uh, authors, basically. But even audience was wildly different. I had once a class, people came, 30 people came. There was a lady on crutches and there were professional dancers in the same class. And it was like, what do you propose to manage this? How much to give? Who, how to help them, how to org? So I'm just trying to say, even in thinking that single class, how to manage who's going to get what, how to, where to meet all of them in the middle, how to give instructions so people can follow depending on their capacity, right? It's like, I guess that's some kind of a consideration for a potential web page as well, right? Who are the people exactly who are using it? Uh, or maybe it would be in your eyes misusing it, you know, because it's someone that it's like, why would you need? Yeah, yeah. Um, but
interesting. Yeah,
yeah,
I had like once I went to a workshop from like Pina Bausch Theater, and then that was like during the day. So it's like really like a lot of commitment. So during the day you take the workshop, and at night, in the evening they have a is what is called Dancers Day or something. Like they frame it like a 1 day event. So yeah, like you start with like exercise, and you actually like start to like build up the improvisation part of the show, like like to kind of like experience how dancers are rehearsing, and then you see the show. And that's just part of like very like short part of the small part of the performance, but you really get the idea of like, okay, like how this improvisation part is made. So yeah, I have to go. But yeah, maybe like, but I try to think like what is the website and how I can kind of
then
not doubt the website, but how can this, like, is it can be like take more care kind of like online thing, or it could be like something physical, because like you said about this nobody's business, or um, everybody's toolbox, all these things are happening, yeah, real
just for
life.
example, I will be super short. You could even be, if you would like, an organizer where in each city you manage to organize live meetings that then have the documentation that comes online, you know,
Mm,
that it is also live. I think that's really important, and that it can happen more. like sporadically, but that it does happen. And then there's a transmittance onto online, because then people will be interested in what's now the imprint online. And also I wanted to know, to say, you are also operating with the assumption that people who dance are interested in this exchange of knowledge. So that's why I would just say, clarify, who do you imagine to attract, or how to expand that, because it's a typical phenomenon where someone who is working in the dance does not want to know what other people are doing or how they do it.
Mm,
Because it's like, no, I better not, don't want to be anxiety of influence. I don't know if you know the book, it's in the literature more, but not wanting to, I mean, it's not worth reading for this, but yeah, being scared that it will spoil how you're doing in either way, like whether it's negative self-talk or having a feeling of being competitive and how to rush. So not everyone is interested in that. So it's really people who
interesting.
are also teaching, I guess, which is of course a lot of dancers, but um, yeah, I'm not sure how many makers go do the exchange with dancers. Then it's more like, let's go to another discipline to get inspired.
But
But
that's also interesting point, right? To get idea from other
yeah,
discipline.
yeah, totally.
If that's something but again, I guess yeah, let's come
Let's talk
back.
next time.
I
Yeah,
think we
because
have a lot of like
go.
things on
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
table already.
Sure, sure,
So
sure.
thanks a lot.
Yeah, sure. Have a good performance. Yeah.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao.